I met a guy over there, and when Brother Matt and I were preaching. Remember that the other day we were over there and was that Wichita, wasn't it? With Brother Parker. That was a Brother Webster there. Good name, right? Webster. After the dictionary. Brother Webster was a quadriplegic. Hey, man, and he was sitting in my services. Boy, he was shouting us down. I mean, he was enjoying that meeting. Got after the service, and he got over where I was at. He said, preacher, now that's my kind of preaching. He said, I believe in the God of miracles. And there he sits without arms or legs. He said, I believe in that kind of God. I was preaching about one day God's going to add limbs back, sitting in the middle of the meeting. He said, that's my promise. I'm believing that one. He said, let me tell you something, preacher. When I was a kid, he said, I got burned up in a fire, and they didn't expect me to live. He said, they took me down to the hospital. He said, and they didn't care for my wounds because they was afraid that I would never recover. He said, so the infection set in. They had to cut all my limbs off to keep it from killing me. He said, so my grandpappy and them took me in because my parents didn't want me. He said, when they took me home and they started raising me, he said, I think he was about 10 years old. He said, I was out one day. He said, I was standing by a pond. The guy was fly fishing out there. And he said, I thought, that was the prettiest thing I ever saw. Somebody fly fishing. He said, I got to telling that guy how I wanted to fly fish. He said, he told me, he said, you can't do this. You'll never be able to fly fish. He said, well, I went back home. He said, and I told my grandpa, he said, I was a crying that who wouldn't have it. He said to me, son, what's wrong with you? He said, well, I wanted to fly fish and I can't fly fish. He said, who said you can't fly fish? He said, well, that guy down there, he said, son, I want to show you something. And they took him inside. He said, Brother Wayne, he went in there and he said he found the old dictionary. I thought it was good. It was a Webster, an old dictionary down there. He said he pulled that dictionary up and opened to the page of the cans and where the can't should be. He said, but instead of the word can't, he said there was just a big black blob. He said it had just been marked out right there. He said, do you see can't in this dictionary? He said, no, it's not in this dictionary. He said, when your grandma and me brought you home, we knew you were going to be a special child. So we took the dictionary out and we marked that out of the dictionary so that you would never think you can't do anything. And I think it's time to take can't out of the church of the living God. Yes, we can. We can change our body. We can change the situations. Things can happen in our lives. It's time to change our language. You've underestimated these men of God. You've underestimated these brides. Yes, they can.